Welcome very, very much to Conversation. We have three people here with one in a particularly starring role that we're going to highlight in this program, all of which is Occupy, revolving around the Occupy movement that's trying to be birthed on this planet in a very real sense, which is a large-scale systems challenge to the whole way in which the whole spaceship Earth works. And I want to introduce the three guests, and I'll start over on the far left. That's Austin Guest, and he is billed here as a Occupy Wall Street supporter. And immediate left is NicoleCarty? Carty, that's it, Carty. Yeah. And she also is an Occupy Wall Street organizer. And then our guest in honor, as it is Jack Boyle. And he's one that's beginning to appear in the press and so forth. He is an activist, but he's also affiliated with the Occupy Wall Street movement. I see they had a thing down at the park the other day with Chris Hedges and Daniel Berrigan and some other people are beginning to take attention. But he has committed himself, we're going to ask him to do it, he has stopped taking the AIDS medicine that he had been taking, and he has stopped eating food for now nigh on to 20 days of a long-term strike in both regards. And it's because of the fact that the world, if I don't want to put words in your mouth, is not giving adequate support and understanding and focus on the Occupy Wall Street and the gross injustices that exist everywhere in the world. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Jack, welcome. You're a guest of honor.
Thank you, Harold. Why I started these two strikes, med strikes and hunger strike. I am one of the 17 remaining folks that were arrested on December 17th, 2011 at 6th Avenue and Canal Street here in Manhattan, an empty lot. With no structure on it, surrounded by fence with open land, owned by Trinity Wall Street Church. On that day, Occupy Wall Street, we congregated many hundreds of us at the lot, and we were there that day so that we could enter onto the lot and set up home. Mm-hmm. I think I haven't mentioned yet that on the lot that day, there were 57 or 58 of us arrested. Mm-hmm. And there's 17 of us remaining of 57 or 58 folks that are in court again on Monday, June 11th.
Oh, it's coming right up.
Yes, mm-hmm. In just a few days, yes. Just after the weekend. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that the trial is that day. I've heard that it may be adjourned to another date after Monday. So,
yeah. Excuse me, Jack, if I could. When did this event happen when you were arrested? Was that before or after the attack on Liberty Square?
December 17th followed the eviction from Zuccotti Park, which was Monday night, November 14th into Tuesday, the AM hours.
Same time frame, more or less. Same time frame. And there was an attack upon the Occupy movement by Mr. Bloomberg and his police force that he calls an army.
Yes, also
33,000.
Also, Homeland Security was present at downtown at the park.
And what happened in this? What happened with you when you were arrested in all this? And what were the
December 17th? Or I was, may I say, with the movement. Occupy Wall Street and the global movement. Since September, I've been arrested 2 times, associating with Occupy Wall Street. I was arrested the morning Tuesday, November 15th, in Zuccotti Park, and I was arrested a second time on December 17th at 6th Avenue and Canal Street when we were walking. When we had planned to use the empty lot there. So I have 2 arrests with the movement.
Yeah, you're all in on this.
Yes, I am.
Yes, apparently. That's something really interesting.
I first went to Zuccotti Park. By the way, folks, It is called, named Zuccotti Park, but I refer to it as Liberty Park, and I heard recently someone informed me that at one time it was called Liberty Park.
Really?
I think it was Brookfields that renamed it Zuccotti Park. I call it Liberty Park. And
I think it'll probably live down through the ages as Liberty Park, and this will probably live down through the ages. We should think of it as like July 4th in our calendar or something like that, if you know. But anyway, that's another issue. Let's hope. That one would hope that this is something that's going to really grow and grow and grow. Yeah.
Us 17 folks with Monday's appearance in court once again, we are facing 3 to 6 months prison time, and possibly and also a fine of $750, or both prison time and fine time. The $750 fine, and I at this time am not taking my life-saving medications for to treat HIV, which I am. I'm currently HIV positive. How I learned I was HIV positive, I actually had AIDS, and I learned I had AIDS in January 2004. Soon after, I went on medication and have been treated with medication since 2004, which has, I'm going to say, it's kept me alive.
Yeah.
And I do have medical issues as a result of health issues in regard to the virus. But for the most part, I'm age 57. I was 49, if I have that correct, when I learned I was inflicted with this killer virus. I'm healthy for someone my age with living with this virus.
You look great.
And
you look great. You look like an athlete.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
Like man of war, ready to run. You know.
It was. So I'd like the audience to know that though I'm currently, my status is I'm HIV positive, but since I've had AIDS, I carry the AIDS diagnosis. And it is probable, well, I say likely, but I know that as I continue not taking the medication, which I intend to do, not take it, I will eventually develop AIDS again. And it is 20 days that I've not taken medication. I last took medication on Saturday, May 19th. Today's day 20 without my meds, taking them. And I then stopped eating on, I last ate on Wednesday, May 23rd. The next day, Thursday, is when I no longer, I've stopped eating, and it is day 16 not eating. I have lost 15 pounds since. I was to my physician the other day, on this past Wednesday.
Good.
And on the scale, and I say at my physician's, I don't have a scale at home, so I learned this past Wednesday that I am usually, sorry folks, I stand exactly 5 feet 10 inches, and my normal weight is 165 pounds. My weight today is 150 pounds. Okay. And so have lost 15 pounds, and I will continue, along not taking the medication, I will not eat also. And this is a cry out to Trinity Wall Street Church, which is on Broadway, Lower Manhattan. The church is on Broadway with Wall Street across the road. Trinity, they call the church Trinity Wall Street Church. They are one of the largest real estate owners in New York City, and they have wealth beyond $1 billion. They are very, very, very wealthy.
And powerful.
And powerful and corrupt.
They seem to go together in my mind all too often, isn't that the case?
It's a parish. I'm not speaking of the whole Episcopalian Church, because I know Episcopalians do wonders, do wonderful work throughout the world, but this particular parish is corrupted. And the current rector of Wall Street, Trinity Wall Street Church, his name is James Cooper. I've seen it on the internet, where follows his name, James Cooper, rector, followed by CEO. I really don't understand how a church, someone who's at the head of a parish, a church, regards themselves as a CEO, but we know why, because they are the third law. They own a lot of land.
I've never seen that attached to the Pope, CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, not even back in Henry V's time.
Okay.
You know, but anyway, that's interesting. And what is it exactly you're promulgating your stance on vis-a-vis this church? What has been done? Your arrest or your possible incarceration? You link it to the Occupy Wall Street sentiment.
Yes, I have demanded from Mr. Cooper that, which also is he has the authority, the power, to contact the DA's office and telling them to drop the charges that are that have been pressed against us. And my demand is that not just us 17 going with the trial, but of the 57, 58, anyone that was arrested on the lot, whether they took an ACD.
What's an ACD?
That is 6 months probation. You appear in front of the bench, and the judge you are offered an ACD, and it's a six months probation. My understanding is if you're not arrested again at the end of during those 6 months, at that 6 months time, that it's sealed and it's not.
It's expunged.
It's not. Well, it's a record.
Yeah.
If you remain with a record, and that's and my demand to Trinity Church is, and the DA's office. I demand that Mr. Cooper contact the DA's office and I put it like this: I want of us people that were arrested that day, that everything is removed, a clean slate for all of us, though we were arrested as if we weren't arrested. And that is my demand. Okay,
you were arrested. Could you describe the arrest? Because you described to me that you had damage done to one of your hands, and that there was violence delivered down upon some of the young ladies that were there. And what were you arrested for?
I was not injured on December 17th.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
Injured, physically injured on November 15th when I was just before being arrested in Liberty Park. I wasn't injured on December 17th.
Oh, okay. But it was within that general context, because what's happening to you is folded in, and we're going to want to get a chance for these to talk, but it's an incredible story you're laying out here, so we want you to continue.
There were people physically injured on December 17th. I'd like to mention of those 57, 58 of us arrested that day, retired Bishop George Packard,
yes,
a chaplain bishop of the Episcopalian Church, his parish is elsewhere. When he was
he was a bishop in the armed services.
Yes, but what I mean is he's not affiliated with Wall Street, Trinity Church, or
Packard. Yeah, no, he's retired.
Yes. Okay.
You and I are associated with Nita Renfrew, another great angel of change and radical change and intellectual thinking,
yes,
and so forth. And she was with a bishop who went over a wall or something. We're going to have this program air on the 14th.
Okay.
And the day after, we're going to re-air a program we did with her, where she puts on the Guy Fawkes mask and everything. And she's also one of those that's just trying to get support in any way we can for the breathing life and vigor into the Occupy movement.
George Packard was the first to enter into the empty lot, and he allegedly, and
has he been arrested?
If I may say,
yes,
there were people there were people who did not enter onto the lot, who were brutally, physically hurt by NYPD, New York's police department.
Have you seen any brutality delivered down upon the Occupy people in your experience? Or maybe some of you could kick in, but I want to let him get his story up.
Since September 2011 until present, today, I've seen so much brutality, people hurt all the time. I personally have been hurt by
maybe
NYPD.
You demonstrate your hand. You demonstrate it to me if you can.
This is from the eviction night at the park.
From the night that they came in, they looked like Gestapo to me.
Yeah, there were I heard that there were 1,000 NYPD involved, included with that night of evicting us from Liberty Park, and Homeland Security were there, and it was a night from hell.
Yeah.
Peaceful demonstrators making a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us, there were people arrested throughout Lower Manhattan.
Yeah. Mr. Bloomberg has referred to it, I said earlier, as his police force as a 33,000-man army to attack Occupy.
He allows this.
And to stamp it out if they can. They want to stifle out that, because that was growing. It was growing around the world, and it was a signal from the site of where it all emanates from in terms of Wall Street to the world, that let's try to look at things in a very comprehensive way, that there has to be a massive change on this planet. It's still growing, but it's under threat by people who want it to just go away and just come back and vote for us. And the system that's been out of history has to be transformed. And we just want to support you and you and all of you as best we can.
And wherever we go here in New York City, us folks working with Occupy Wall Street, we are always pursued by NYPD. They are always with us. Yeah. And they have been arresting us like mad all the time, and for ridiculous reasons. They're breaking the law. Yeah. And to arrest us.
I thought we had a right in the First Amendment or something about being able to redress of grievances and to freely assemble and so on. Whatever happened to that? Or maybe you two could pipe in a little bit here. You're familiar, how long have you known him? Let's keep it tied to him, but also touch into the larger issue of which he is a part, is emerging. Again, I mentioned I was just down to Liberty Square yesterday, where we had no less than Cliff Hedges, and that great patriot, Daniel Ellsberg, there coming to your support. And I submit and project there will be a great number of other people that are going to come to Jack's support. But maybe you could jump in a little bit from the standpoint. You're part of the Occupy movement, and they're aware of Jack and what he's doing. And what do you all think? Or just pipe up, either one of you that wants to just grab the mic. You know, what do? You say down there, Mike or something?
Sure. So, yeah, I am here today because I think one of the deepest things that has tied us together and what set the world on fire over the past 9 months has been human connections.
Okay.
That connecting to each other and empowering each other to do things ourselves, to fix problems that we've known for decades to be wrong and told we don't have the power to fix, that other people will fix them for us. That actually just through talking to each other, going to a public space where anybody can come, we actually are smart enough and capable enough to feed anybody who's hungry, to produce a library for anybody who wants knowledge.
Did a lot of the library at Liberty Square go into a dump truck and just be trashed?
Yeah, hundreds of books destroyed.
It makes you think of the burning of the books of the Nazis in a certain way. I mean, I think that's an appropriate thing that one could draw, particularly some people of the Jewish persuasion who can remember Kristallnacht and so forth. But anyway, I'm sorry, keep bringing this thing up.
Well, so I mean, those human connections, as opposed to the blind pursuit of profit, is what brought us all together, and is what's kept us going through this immense state repression that we've seen. So you ask why I'm here.
Yeah, good.
And I'm here because there's this man, Jack.
Yeah.
This beautiful man who I have struggled with, who I saw the police beat on the night of November 15th, as he and I were sitting in a park that had meant so much for us.
Yeah.
You know, that had meant this emblem of freedom. I've seen him in the streets on countless weeks. I've seen him get my back when I was in jail that night with him. You asked about violence. I was bleeding from the head.
Good guy.
On December 17th. I was after these arrests that he spoke of, we marched to Reverend Cooper's house and then to Times Square. I was standing on a sidewalk. 3 police, full steam, slammed me into a wall, knocked open my head. And that night, though, we sat in jail together. Bishop Packard said a prayer.
Oh,
we sang
really?
songs, and and I've been arrested 7 times. I've had moments
since then. I mean, since the Occupy.
through the movement, I've been arrested 7 times, and every single time I've had an experience like this, where all we've done is stand up and say there should be freedom, there should be equality.
That's grounds for being beaten up.
Yeah, and it is.
You daren't say that.
Right.
No, that's what they're trying to put down now.
Yes. And so how do you respond? And what's so infuriating is that they have the power to do that. They have this army that you speak of.
And I'm seeing it coming out of the White House. They're passing legislation that makes it possible to identify somebody, lock them up, to throw away the key. And they're laying all over the place predicates for an out-and-out police state.
You're speaking
here in the United States of America. They're trying.
You're speaking.
They're very much on the offensive against anything that could allow something like free speech and criticism to come up of the establishment, maybe because they're nervous because they know they haven't got the answers they're going to need.
And Harold, that would be the National Defense Authorization Act.
Thank you.
NCAA that you just spoke on, which was signed on New Year's Eve by President Obama.
Yeah. Keep hope alive.
So
I mean,
I hope,
it's a little discouraging when the person who was talking, let's have change and justice, signs on to such things and takes such a compromised position in favor of the super rich of the world, isn't it? Didn't it bother you a little bit?
Yes.
I hope that people would do research on Google and DAA and learn more of what is being signed into law.
Yeah.
And diminishing our rights as American citizens.
Yeah, I think there's been some appeal justice, questioning and everything, but they keep doing it. They're pushing. And then they got these drones they're going to send all over the world by the thousands. I mean, it's like a dystopic movie. Yeah. And I think you said before that it goes back some decades. I would suggest it might go back thousands of years, that we're coming to something new, really new. It's like they had feudal order in Europe for 1,000 years after Rome. Then the United States made a revolution that was questioning the historical legitimacy of all the hereditary families. That's the way we're legitimate. Now the bankers have the authority They do. And they have a system that does not and cannot serve the interests of the people of the world. So it's like a change that is not just one little thing, it's just systemic, right across the board. Practically every institution that exists is out of date with what's required and newly allowed in a liberating way by the zeitgeist. Do you understand what I'm saying? Bobby Dylan said, times are changing. It's not on one little thing, it's the whole ball of wax. What do you think of all this, Jer?
Oh, no, I agree. I think, especially recently, we're seeing the implications of a world after legislation like Citizens United, which makes money equal to a voice, a say, which you know is not what this country is really
based on. Yeah, they gave corporations personhood,
and is not what is right. And so you look at Wisconsin, for example, and you
Scott
see
Walker won, didn't he?
Yeah, because he had
9-to-1 the money. Yeah.
Exactly, 9-to-1 donations, and most of them from out of state. So it's not even those people who live in that state who are having the say. It's outside donors who see him as representing this conservative agenda. And I mean, that's just one example, one really clear example of how money's influenced the whole system.
Yeah.
It's
inordinately. And it seems to be systemically growing. It's built into, it's not just malfeasance or something, it's systemic. The basic premises by which they try to claim historical legitimacy do not hold for the future. That's the point. Just like the kings probably were a little bit upset when they made a revolution in Europe against the legitimacy of the heretical order. Oh, but there had been an enlightenment, there had been a change. And it's in that order, and it may be because of that they're very dangerous, because they maybe do realize they do not have the makings of a system within the context in which they see things. And we're going to have an election and everything, but the context within the scene, they don't have a solution.
They don't.
They don't have a solution to deal with this existential new reality that's blowing in the wind all over the world, and it's going all over the world now. May it grow and grow and grow. It's going, Prout in India, they got tens, millions of people that have been questioning it. And so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, I mean, I totally agree. It came from around the world. You know, we've been very influenced by Duarte Square movements. You know, this all comes back from Tunisia, where they began organizing horizontally. And so it's swept over here, and it's sweeping, you know, Quebec now you see, and Mexico, which have very recent student uprisings that are framed in, you know, elections or student debt, but really have bigger critiques of the entire system.
Yeah, so the entire system. And going horizontal, that means not one issue. It's not ladies, it's not this, it's not that. It's not one issue. It's going out, and it's including understanding things in a systemic or a systems understanding of the whole operation of Spaceship Earth.
Well, it also means...
If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, I do.
We will get to that, and maybe we will. That horizontal thing includes more and more and more dysfunctional parts of a system. And you can focus endlessly on one thing, but people are starting to get hip to thinking comprehensively. I think they'll get back to Bucky Fuller and some of the comprehensive thinkers that really give some sort of a reading of what the hell is really going on in the evolution of consciousness. We're
going to have geodesic domes
Are you really?
at the space on Duarte Square.
Are the youth picking up on him and the spirit of 1970, the spirit of Woodstock, the spirit of Malcolm X and that? Are they referring to all that, or are they just listening to Lady Gaga, or what?
It's a hard
battle. What is youth up to? I mean, are they hip to the big thinkers of the past or not? Or are they moving so fast they can't be bothered with all that history is bunk, like Mr. Ford used to say? Or fill me in on where youth is.
Well, I think it's hard to know.
Yeah, okay.
You know, against all odds, this movement happened in a generation that's been characterized by, you know, materialism and instant gratification, and this still happens. So you have to hope that other people of this generation are capable.
That is a source of hope.
They just kind of come into, because if anything, this generation, more than any other, has been prone and primed to not be receptive to history's past and movements past and social struggle or struggle of those who are next to them. Yet they do. And so there's great hope for that. I think it just comes to a point where they have to see their own self-interests and connect that with the self-interest of others, not just in their immediate, you know, vicinity, but those across the world as well.
Yeah, go on.
I also think right now is an exciting time precisely because there's a big break with history.
Yes.
Right?
Maybe just even evolutionarily. We got weapons that can wipe out the entire species since about 1970. Do you realize that? the existential significance of that in evolutionary terms.
And where the internet is at, and you know, you could make all kinds of arguments for where the species is at with a different kind of intelligence, you know, than it once had, but networked intelligence. But I think there's a break with history insofar as you look back at times when real revolution has happened, when large-scale systemic change have happened, and it's largely been when a set of people with rising expectations of what they were promised, right? What life was supposed to be. In our case, the American dream. I go to college, I work hard, I get to have a job and a house and a family, and that's great.
They're still trying to sell that.
Right, but
they're selling cornflakes in the advertising.
Right, but the aisles are empty, right? Everybody came for the sale, and the aisles are empty.
You can't buy, if you haven't got any money, they're going to take all the money away and turn everybody into a serf. They're not going to be able to buy many of the things that can be produced by the robots.
Right.
Well, so
what people have when they get out of college
is debt.
Is debt and unemployment. No, really, it's 1 in 3 college grads currently they get out of school and they're unemployed, and they're saddled with crushing debt.
Yeah.
And they look at they look at this person, Obama, who they elected, who was supposed to make all of this better, and he's deported more people than any president on record. He's overseen the giving away of $7 trillion, well, for starters, $7 trillion to the banks who crashed everything.
16, I can see, in terms of the mortgages. Yeah, right.
So
bailed out the super rich who caused all the trouble.
Well, used taxpayer money to bail out the rich with you know, the billions, but $7 trillion, not billion, $7 trillion the Fed produced and gave for no interest to the banks. So they can sell to the people, which you know turns into debt.
And nobody from that circle has gone into any incarceration whatsoever. Not one. Everybody is floating. We're going off on their golden yachts and doing very well, thank you. Right?
Meanwhile,
there's something wrong with that, it seems to me.
And it's because
they caused
people,
the problem.
You know,
they're bringing untold grief to the people. They've got no solution. And yet they are still floating high and are your so-called leadership that we're supposed to decide which of the two evils we're going to vote for. And they're all being supported by them, and all the institutions are begging them to maybe get a little grant or something so they can have some food to eat. Well, I mean, it's absurd. It's serfdom.
The most atrocious thing, I think,
that is being proposed for the people.
And the most atrocious thing is you have an election and you have this candidate who's running on the platform of being for the 99%, you know, and says and makes a big deal of, oh, but I made this investigation that's going to look at these banks, it's going to hold them accountable. You know, the investigation isn't funded. He's got
a $1 billion war chest, and he's got to get it from the guys that he gave all the money to. And they've got all the money in the world. That's who they have to beg to get money to make their campaign. And, you know, I mean, it's sort of almost theater of the absurd, as I'm told. Or something, you know what I mean? And so it seems that way to me. And God bless you and everything and all the work. And I mean, I'm older, right? I'm glad I lived long enough because we've been fighting crawling up Mount Sisyphus for all of my life. And every time you get up here, that air comes rolling down and everything. And all the people who have gone before that have tried to fight for truth, justice, and whatever, and all that sort of thing, real way, Bobby Dylan and Ginsburg, and God bless Abby Hoffman, and a lot of the other people of history that did. But I'm just really honored that I lived long enough to see this thing trying to be born that has never been done. It's not even anti-Vietnam. It's not feminism. It's not civil rights. It's much more than that.
Or gay rights.
It's coming to some sort of a fruition. You have to start thinking speciation, or there's a new relationship in the universe that we begin to come. Maybe we're coming to the end of the human experience. Something along those lines to get at a systems understanding of what's going on, because they've got weapon systems that they've got their finger on and they've got this no answer to, and they could eliminate the Homo sapiens species with weapons that exist since about 1970. We also have the capability of providing for everybody in a non-scarce ontologic understanding of our capability of providing life support within an ecological context. It's all that. We have a capability that history has never had. We have a liberating capability. We can either liberate or annihilate the Homo sapiens species at this time, and to be born into that Occam's razor moment of evolution, it calls for big systems thinking and understanding. I think it'd be better to liberate humanity, let every woman have enough food for the kid that can be got, all that kind of thing, and get over the notion that there's nearly enough for some to be rich, everybody else has to be poor. All the things out of history, and awaken from the nightmare that James Joyce saw as history is a nightmare from which you're attempting awakening moment on a very large scale. And we shouldn't let these little clowns, these bankers, put the kibosh on the whole thing, and God bless you and may you prosper.
And I think
one and all, said Tiny Tim. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that it's more complex than just on its face. It's not just bankers, right? They operate through so many corrupt institutions.
Right.
You know,
they're all corrupt or inadequate.
The media to, like, you know, your elected officials to even, you know, Trinity Church, which, you know, is a church in name, in facade, but is the biggest real estate owner in Lower Manhattan and owns Wall Street, owns the land that Wall Street owns, was gifted it by the Queen, and by the way, incidentally, sided with the British in the Revolutionary War.
Is that a fact?
Just an aside, yeah. So these are people that you're dealing with.
Is that factually correct?
Yeah, that's factually correct.
We ought to get a poster or something out of that, shouldn't we? Something like that?
Well, people just see church. They say church, why church? But it's not a church, right? It's barely a church. It's an institution.
With the CEO.
With the CEO, I mean, Rector Cooper made $1 million last year. Has been using church funds, donated church funds from the people who go to this church to develop high luxury real estate in Manhattan. For the bankers. Yeah, this is
it's almost absurd.
Right. He's even, you know, kind of made angry some of the people who sit on the vestry of the church.
Oh yeah.
You know
what's a vestry?
What's a vestry? Well, that's
where they
a board.
Put the robes
it's the board of the church. Right, and it's the people who sit on the board of Trinity Church are the same people who kicked us out of Brookfield, like the Brookfield properties. The same owners, the same like high real estate owners. Yeah. Not, you know, not religious figures. The Pope's not on it. No, it's CEOs of major institutions. And he made, you know, they wanted him to step down, but he didn't step down because he had these, you know, more like capitalistic, you know, gains, this agenda to develop, to serve the 1%, essentially. And they asked him to step down, he didn't step down, so they left the board, so he replaced them, people who thought more similarly to him, which is why, you know, he's not acting like a man of faith would act, who would think that, he's not acting in a way where he would think that, I mean, 15 minutes of standing on a land, is that seizure of property? You know, do you think that someone who's really a man of principle would think that that was real seizure of property?
I think in their private clubs with their big cigars and everything, we showed those little bastards
they
something.
Do.
And we beat them. They'll now go back to their serfdom. They'll go back to their slave quarters. They'll just go back now. Go back and play in your sandbox and everything, and we'll run the show. And just, that's all.
And
that's what they're maybe thinking, some people.
And that's what they hope.
That's what they hope, and that's what they're trying to do, and that's why they attacked you in that parking lot.
We will not... we will not go away. This will not end.
Now, and you're taking an extreme position, and it's one that we wish. What would it take for you to be able to say, okay, and I think you've got a message from Mr. Bloomberg, which I would like you to be able to deliver, because I would be willing to sign on the line seconding it, as I heard it in the booth. But what would it take for you to be able to say, okay, I can go back and resume eating and my meds? What do you want to have happen in order to redress the deep angst that you're being driven to this extreme act?
Well, with Trinity Church, I have demanded from Rector Cooper to do the right thing. He stands as a man of God. It's a Christian church. Jesus Christ comes to mind. Jesus Christ would not have charges pressed on his sisters and brothers, let alone want them to go to prison.
For doing what is constitutionally guaranteed to the citizens of this country. Yeah?
Yes.
Did you break a law? Did you knife anybody? Did you harm anybody? Did you harm anybody?
No.
Did you do anything bad?
No.
Did you start a fire? Did you burn something? Did you shout fire? What did you do that was so terrible that they could come beat up on you?
I, along with 57, 58 other folks, we stepped on to an empty lot on land.
That's it.
No structure. It is surrounded by fence, but we got on to the land, and we were there less than 15 minutes, and then we were attacked brutally by by NYPD, New York Police Department.
Yeah, yeah.
And at this time, I'd like to say, it is Trinity that I am speaking to, Rector Cooper, do the right thing, Jesus Christ. You believe in Jesus, you preach, teach Jesus Christ, his life and who he was. And I am saying now, I am demanding from Michael Bloomberg, Mayor of New York City, I am demanding that he apologize to Occupy Wall Street.
Say it again.
I am demanding from Michael Bloomberg, I am telling him I expect an apology from him to us folks who are with Occupy Wall Street, with this movement here in New York City, an apology, and to have, I'm telling him to stop suppressing us. This needs to be, we have our First Amendment that gives us the right to congregate.
Trampled on the day that they did that with their Gestapo-like tactics.
And assemble and to express who we are as individuals and as a whole, and to discuss our grievances and shed light on what is not right, which is a lot, and
most everything.
Most everything.
Now that's kind of hard to get your mind around, or your manifesto. But maybe we can get to it. I
want him to tell Ray Kelly, and who is police commissioner here in New York City, there's some 33,000 on police within the police force. I want Michael Bloomberg to tell Ray Kelly to tell his police people, stop hurting us, stop following us, leave us alone. We have work to do, and that work is our first. We are protected by our First Amendment, freedom of speech. When we show up, and such as a place as Liberty Park, we have the same rights as anyone that walks into that park, meaning there are tourists there, there are workers down there eating their lunch in the park. No one, they're not bothering those people, and they shouldn't bother those people. But when we show up and to have a meeting, as we do have meetings there, leave us alone.
Well, yeah.
Stop bothering us.
It used to be the commies. Do you remember COINTELPRO, and the commies were the enemy, and they had searches and seizures and COINTELPRO, and they had Eastland had a thing where they had detention centers that they could, in I think it's still on the books, the National Security Amendment, or where they could, they've got places where they can incarcerate without any habeas corpus. Yes. There's all kinds of moves to try to get rid of habeas corpus. Posse comitatus is just about gone.
Yes.
I mean, and you know, it's the predicate for a police state is demonstrating a deep paranoia on the part of the established order in this country and this world.
This nation is a police state, and I would like to also inform the public that many of my sisters and brothers affiliated with Occupy Wall Street, some of us have been followed to our home and bothered, questioned, hurt. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. You're absolutely right. And you're starting. Are you getting some support from people in positions of so-called authority, like city council people, Barron or somebody, are you getting support from people in positions of authority, university presidents, people of the cloth? Is there anything coming in support? Is there something that they can be in support of? It seemed it was Bobby Sand in Ireland, and some others too went on a hunger strike against the injustice that was so manifest there. And it did have long-term effect, or did it? Did it make possible Mr. Mitchell's making peace, or well, how did that come out? Or maybe it's worth mentioning.
Would someone else like to elaborate on that?
I
know of Bobby Sands. I know of the other 9 men that there were 10 of them that died as a result of a hunger strike because they were incarcerated and probably would never have seen themselves outside of the prison. I don't know all of my history.
Right? No, you don't know all of history. Get off this set! I thought sure you know absolutely every last jot until the whole bloody mess called a nightmare.
I should be reading more and more, but I'm not an Advent reader.
Okay, okay. Well, no, I was just making a joke, obviously. It sounds like Arlo Guthrie was busted for littering. Remember that movie he made, Alice's Restaurant? He was busted for littering, or they'll bust you for walking walking on the sidewalk. They'll bust you for anything. When it gets down, if you just accept it and they don't fight. Are there people in authority positions, media positions? The media, the established media, with the exception of public access, it seems to me, and Amy and a few things like that, they just accept everything. Well, it's over. It's done. Now listen to the latest, pop song or something, and get back into the groove and get back into your slave roles. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are there people within the establishment? I think there's a lot of sentiment for the idea among the general society who are being affected personally in their own lives too. You mentioned all this debt that they have when they come out and the dysfunction. A lot of people are very upset with this what do they call it, stop and frisk, where it's all black and Latinos. They're throwing them into a prison industrial complex.
Why don't we spend some time speaking on that?
Well, whatever. We got about 10 minutes left. Okay.
But quickly, you asked about support and people in positions of power.
And how can people support?
Right, and specifically on showing support for this specific issue.
Okay,
which cuts to the core of so much.
Good,
of what is wrong. It's institutions that we respect, that we expect to be able to take care of us. They don't, right? And then furthermore, not only do they not take care of us, they criminalize folks.
Yeah, and the trend is very worrying. It's getting worse and worse, more police state-like all the time.
Right. So this is a great example. This is a great, emblem of everything that this kind of whole fight is about. And so what are people doing, and what can people who are at home do to help? Well, there's a petition originated by faith leaders in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Some prominent members of the Episcopalian Church that has gathered 13,500 signatures
in support of him.
That is
Jack?
Simply asking Rector Cooper, right? You believe to forgive trespasses, right? You believe in morality. The moral and right thing to do here is to drop charges, right? To do everything in your power to see that justice is served, that people who are standing on an empty lot, which is currently being used for nothing, aren't made to serve 6 months in jail and a $750 fine.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Now, it has been vacant for some time, and it still remains vacant.
Thou shalt not have anything to do with vacant lots. Don't go. We used to make victory gardens out of vacant lots, But what is there? Is there a site or something?
Yes.
People, I'm not sure we've got it on the credit. Maybe you could let it know where people could go who want to sign on in support of Jack and by with him through the Occupy that he has affiliated himself with. So what is that site? Can you get it in your head?
It's so you just go in your web browser to tinyurl.com.
Tiny, TINYURL.com.
/ Oh,
more.
I know. Trinity Set Us Free.
Trinity, TRINITY, set, SETUSFREE.
Yes. And you can also...
say it again. Say it one more time.
tinyurl.com / Trinity Set Us Free.
Okay, good. Now, we've got at the end of the program, we're going to have it up for a few seconds at the end, Occupy Wall Street site. Is that a good site? Would this be there on the Occupy Wall Street site? And as he gets to be more notable, in terms of the larger society, that site is likely to become more and more, there'll be more growing. When you got David Berrigan and Chris Hedges supporting him and like that, there's going to be a lot more intellectuals out there than not. Center for Constitutional Rights, you know, good old Ramsey Clark and everything, but there'll be other people from the established order that would get behind him in this extreme effort that he's exerting, I would think, don't you?
Harold?
Don't you hope that would be the case?
Yes, thank you. Harold, the signatures have accumulated to some 13,000 of today, but it grows every day. This was just...
it was put up 2 days ago.
Two days ago, and we have already exceeded 13,000.
Great,
Thank
great.
you, folks.
Yeah.
And
let's get 13 million. Maybe they'd listen to that. Would they get 1.3 billion? Maybe. What would it take for people to pay any attention to the voice of reason?
Yeah. And may I take...
Against their own prejudice and profit motive or whatever.
May I mention at this time, folks, if you have not already, please visit occupywallstreet.org.
Okay.
You will learn of so much that we are doing and what's going on around the world, not just here in New York City and in our nation. And it's updated periodically, and it's a great source of information. You will get an education.
Is it done, are you able to function? It would be like the resistance. I don't know what the year would be in Germany or something. It got a little hard, but the resistance is a little cul-de-sacs where they go. Is the resistance and the Occupy spirit able to manifest itself anywhere, or if they clamp down completely on you, you can't do anything, you can't breathe? And that's what they're trying to do. But is it Occupy? Can you do it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Is it alive and well? Are you linked to people in India? Are you linked to people in California? Is there a link up? Is it getting media? Is it getting any kind of media outreach of their own thinking and so forth? Are they getting any closer to that big manifesto of systems thinking that will begin to put a program out, a pattern out there that the people can identify in opposition to the system that is out of date, that is called the established order, is out of date, will not work either, and an alternative that can be understood and picked up on by intellectuals and people who are in support of it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How is it going? How are you holding together? How's it going? I'm busy just doing programs here, but I'm 1,000% in support of you. I think a lot of people are who are busy doing what they're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, I would like to speak to that, but I would also like to talk about what people can do themselves, right? Because I hear you you keep coming back to these important people, these men of stature, and what they think and the weight that gives us. But I really do think what our strength has always been is that it was mostly not famous people who showed up on that day to put their bodies on the line. And so I've one more...
Which day? When they first started?
Every day, but on December 17th, right?
Oh, okay,
this was normal people who said, I'm willing to sacrifice my body for justice. So
many hundreds were there that day, many hundreds.
Yeah. So it was serendipitous.
So what people can do, in addition to signing this petition, there's this fellow, James Cooper, has an email address. It's jcooper@trinitywallstreet.org, trinitywallst.org. And we've already had hundreds of people.
Is that on Occupy Wall Street site?
Yes.
And it's noted, there's a page there for Jack?
Yes.
And people can get to this. So the main one, the mother lode, is Occupy Wall Street as a way of organizing on the internet protests against that, because there's about 16,000 other issues that are going to be relevant to the Occupy thing, but to be able to do it and communicate effectively on the computer and so forth? Okay, good. Okay.
.org.
And again, that is www.occupywallstreet.org. Okay, that's a mothership. In a certain sense. Good. Build that sucker up and everything. And the Trinity, the email will be for those who want to go. Information about background to him. Sure. Links to video things. We'll put our program there if you want. Or links to the things that Mr. Daniel Berrigan, God bless him, and also Chris Hedges have said. Did you get any good video when they were there in the park? I couldn't get there. I was all tied up.
Unfortunately, was not able to be at yesterday's gathering in Liberty. I've seen some video since sent to me. Chris Hedges was there, Father Barragan.
Barragan, he's so huge. You kids, you don't know how big Barragan.
And Bishop George Packard
he's a giant.
And his beautiful wife.
There's nothing wrong with, you were talking about just people. There are some people, Martin King, Malcolm X, there were people who had some juice, you know, and those people are, who's supporting you? Is there anybody in entertainment? Are there any stars supporting it? Are there anybody signing on? Is everybody just saying, go away, get back in your little sandbox, you're just a bunch of know-nothings or something? What I'm saying, are you just being dismissed by the society? We can't stand for that.
You have to understand that corporate media is owned by the same people.
That's right. That's
who control everything, right? They are part of Wall Street.
That's like
And so if you don't see coverage of what we're doing or the networks that we're creating, that is the reason why. It's not because we're not doing it. We're still reaching out to people, person to person.
They would support the stormtrooper tactics against you. It's rather like what happened. Goebbels would be happy to see all this going on. I keep going back to that because it's almost getting to that state.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they spin a lot. And Trinity has too. You know, I think it's important to understand that they, on their face, support us, but they are prosecuting these people. They want to like outwardly be like, we support them because we are doing the work that they are supposed to be doing as a church. That's what we're doing. Yeah. And they are maliciously like prosecuting these people, making them face jail time. Let me be perfectly clear. They
say it again. Say it again, dear.
They say they cannot drop these charges. They can pressure the DA to drop these charges. Like, let me say it 3 times. They can contact.
Say it with feeling.
They could contact the district attorney's office
Don't
to drop
throw
these
away
charges.
the line, dear.
They have the
I want to be perfectly clear. Say it with emotion, feeling, you know?
Trinity could do this.
Yeah, okay.
They say they can't. They can. They're lying. They are liars. They are lying about supporting us. They are lying about having the power to repeal these charges.
I think you're right on a whole lot of things that they say they can't do for this reason or that reason. There's a lot that can be done, huge changes that can benefit everybody that can be done, and they're just copping out because they don't have some sort of a way that they can make profit at it. Or
yeah, absolutely. They're copping out because they are, you know, their interests are that of the people we are trying, whose power we are trying to challenge.
Yeah, right.
That is the interest of the church.
Thou shalt not challenge power. I mean, that's their mantra, it seems to me. But anyway, we're coming right to the end. And Jack, thank you enormously.
Thank you, Harold.
Thank you enormously for coming in. And I really do hope, I think that grows to 1,300,000. And that finally the Trinity Church can come to their senses, and the mayor of Bloomberg can come to his senses, and the establishment can come to his senses, to where there's going to be an adequate kind of response to where you can maybe take up some food and medicine before the demise.
That's what everyone, my friends and those who support me with what I'm doing, they all want to see me eat again.
Yes, I do.
And
Look at this handsome guy.
Taking my meds, which is very important. But also, Michael Bloomberg, quit suppressing Occupy Wall Street. Stop it now.
Michael Bloomberg and all your minions.
Have your army really
call off your dogs.
Have your army really pay attention to what their jobs are about. There is crime in this world. Take care of the crime. Leave us peaceful demonstrators to our work. And I want to thank Nicole and Austin, my friends and comrades. Thank you for being here today on Harold's show.
My great good pleasure. Welcome. We're out. This will be on YouTube, but we went out a couple minutes, a few seconds ago in terms of airing. But thanks a lot for coming in. All the very best. Let's keep in touch.
We'll do this again.
Let me give you my card and put you on my list. You put me on your list, and let's just try to build something in those long ways. And Jack, once again, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Harold. I did that on air.
I know, but that's because your hand was broken by the Gestapo police that broke your hand.
Yes. We'll did we get my thank you to Nicole and Austin?
No, you didn't. They don't. Okay. You don't care about them.
It's
I'm making a joke.
I want the audience to know Nicole and Austin.
There's another great MNN show has to use this studio. We have to leave. We're being 86, gang. But this will be on.
We'll do this again.
We got to do more. Get your own. Get some people over. Become producers. This is a great place. This is a great place for media.
But
Okay,
as
we
I...
gotta
Sounds like you got some ideas to help us with our website, too. Maybe.
I'm terrible with it. I don't even need a 7-year-old to do the technical part. I got ideas galore, but not how to